Your host, Adelcia Furlands, and our special guest co-host, bringing you the candidates of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party as we discuss the issues related to women and families that affect us here in St. Kitts Nevis and the Caribbean region as a whole.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Women in Focus. And today with me, my special co-host is Dr. Joyelle Clark, and we will have two powerful men here with us in studio, the leader of the SKNLP, Dr. Terence Drew, and the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas will also be here with us shortly. We're going to go right ahead and start our program. As usual, we're going to have a little fun segment with with the men. I mean, Dr. Drew already knows how it goes with our rapid fire questions, just testing their knowledge on women locally and in the region. So I'll let my co-host, Dr. Joyelle Clark, start us off with the questions.
All right, good morning, Adelcia, and thank you for having me here and inviting me to what I think is one of the most important and impactful programs on WINN FM in a very long time. Okay, so Dr. Drew.
Yes.
Name one female Caribbean author and a book she's written.
Female author is Carol Otley Mitchell and Jamaica Kincaid.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good.
All right, you're off to a good start.
Yes.
All right, so this month, July, is Fibroids Awareness Month. And in the health space, there has been much awareness building about it. We have more and more women coming out with this ailment. What does PCOS stand for? And what exactly is it? And this is a very easy
that's
question
an
for
unfair
Dr.
question.
I know, right?
I think you should skip that.
Well, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, and it really has to do with the function of the ovaries and the hormones that the ovaries produce in excess in some instances. Yes, but it's a syndrome that affects women a lot, especially here in the Caribbean, and fibroids affect all women a lot here in the Caribbean. Maybe the chicken has a lot of hormones in it. That might be a culprit. So that's one thing to look at. There are many factors involved, but the hormones in these processed chicken is a factor. But it's common.
Okay. Well, I think I want to capitalize on this a little bit more. And if you could maybe give a bit of advice to women as to how they can deal with it or maybe try to avoid.
Right. So overall, with fibroids, there are muscles in the womb that grow, affect black women a lot, and affect Caribbean women a lot. And it has to do a lot with lifestyle. Even though some of it might be hereditary, it has to do with lifestyle as well. And processed foods and a lot of hormones in the foods that contribute to it. You know, making sure that you exercise, remain fit as much as possible, and within the weight limit as well also helps excess weight produce more hormones as well. So those basic things to start with: eating as healthy as possible, as natural as possible, exercising, keeping fit, and watching the processed food, especially those heavily with hormones, can help definitely in curbing the number of persons who suffer from fibroids.
Well, thank you.
All right. Okay, so our next question.
Yes.
How well do you know your candidates and former candidates? Former Minister Marcella Laibard recently celebrated her birthday,
Yes.
and you better remember when, because it was at another women's event. Can you tell us the date this was and what other event coincided with that birthday?
But I remember I was the guest speaker at the Kuna event for our women, and it was the 10th of July.
Okay.
And I remember, of course, congratulating the Honorable Marcella Laibard on her birthday. So it was the 10th of July, and we had that event at Kuna.
All right.
Yes.
The chair for the PMP Women's Movement, she was in St. Kitts.
Yes.
Supporting our national campaign activities. And can you tell us what is her name? What is the name of the chair of the women's arm of the PMP?
Right, Comrade Patricia. She was here and she worked in constituency number 2, Patricia Duncan, Sunderland. She is the PNP Women's Chair. That's the party is our sister party in Jamaica. And she would have been here working with Masha, which I think was very important because she too is a woman in a very powerful political role. And I think that her example would have been positive for Masha and to show her that it is possible for a woman to be a woman with a family and also be able to manage politics and public office. Very important, and part of our agenda in the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is to have more women come forward into these positions. And I think having that collaboration really would have helped tremendously.
Good. Well, I shouldn't ask the last question, but let's ask. So, what is the name and objective of the high school girls empowerment program spearheaded by Dr. Clark, myself?
Well, women empowering girls, and I saw a few pictures. I think you all wear purple.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you all wear purple, and I think your objective is to help to, from what I say, foster confidence and to prepare women for leadership.
Yes.
Even from that level.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Excellent initiative, I must say, because I've seen the photos as well, and I'm quite impressed by the work that they're doing.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, that's the end of our rapid fire questions, which I think Dr. Douglas escaped this one.
Make up something when he comes, he'll get two.
All right, so we'll move right into our interview section, and we have a few questions for you, Dr. Drew. You have been very vocal, extremely open about women empowerment, the development of the women agenda, policies, and different initiatives. On the platform, we've heard you talk about improving parental leave policies, maternal health care, speak about domestic violence, women entrepreneurship, and the like. And the question is that as a Prime Minister, are you willing to assume the ministerial portfolio of social development, youth, and gender affairs to ensure that these policies that you've been bringing forward during the campaign are actually prioritized and executed properly? Right.
So I would say, and that's a very good question. You put me on the spot with that one. But I don't think that there's in history of the Caribbean that the Prime Minister would have taken up this ministry as a whole. But I think it's a very fundamental and important ministry. The reason why I think so is that I think any country that does not empower its women is really doing a disservice to itself. And that alone, empowering women, would actually add to the GDP. And the studies have shown that. So it is, one, the right thing to do. And secondly, it has significant benefits, even economic, social, and so forth. We know that in St. Kitts and Nevis, most of the households are headed by women. And so if you're not empowering the heads of these households, you're not empowering your nation, you're not empowering your families, your communities, and your nation. And that is why it makes sense to empower women from all perspectives. And this would actually be a priority of the government under Labour administration and with me as Prime Minister. And therefore, whoever takes that, if it's not me, they would know that this is a priority agenda of the government to really put these things in place. Why? Because we're talking, especially when we talk about the long-term effects of really exclusion and some level of discrimination and so forth. If these families are not strengthened, what will happen is that we would recognize you'll have a lot of dysfunction, and dysfunction lead to other spin-offs such as crime and so forth. And so we need to get it right. And so I have spoken about compassionate leave for women. When women get sick, when children get sick, women can't get time off.
Right.
Sometimes they're working for minimum wage. They miss a day from work. They had to take the child to the doctor because the child has no insurance. So they have to pay the doctor bill, pay for medication, miss a day of work, which means, or two, which means they would lose their pay. And if they go beyond 2 days, if the child does not recover, by that time, because they can't send the child to preschool, because they're telling the mother you can't bring the child for preschool for upper respiratory tract infection. So think about that, man. There are thousands of mothers like that. And therefore, they become very stressed. They're risking losing a day's pay. They risk losing their job. And the only thing that has happened is that a child would have gotten sick, which you expect from time to time. And therefore, we will put compassionate leave will be a priority so that when the children are sick, the mothers, the parent, even if it's a single parent, or the parent can have some days off. But this will impact positively women, especially because women are the head of most of the households. We are also looking at the extension of maternity leave. It is not long enough. Science have shown that women need more time in order to bond with their child, and that fostering really helps a child in the old age. That is how serious it is. That is why in Western Europe and most developed countries, you realize they give a whole year. In Canada, they give a year. And I'm saying that we really have to look at it to give women more time to be with the children if we are looking at the long-term impact, positive impact of having that bond, that relationship that would have started early. And then the other thing, paternity leave, we really have to look at it so that men can get some time off to be with their family while they're having children. So it has to be a family approach, and the men as well need some time off. So we are going to push these forwards. Even with the issue of domestic violence, I've spoken about it significantly, and having interventions. And when it gets to the point that women can have safe houses to go to, and so that they wouldn't stay in a relationship just because they're pressured by economic reasons and cannot leave, having no place to go to, have no safe place to go to, which is also very, very important. I would have seen a number of deaths throughout time where women would have been in abusive relationships for years. They would have been crying out for help, and the help would not have been as effective, and they end up losing their lives. And so we want to make sure that we make these necessary interventions so that we will ensure that women have the opportunity to excel in this society. When it comes to equal pay, and I have said before that in the government, on all the boards, there will have to be a percentage of women on these boards. We will not accept anything less. And I'm going to challenge the private sector that have these boards to present to the public how many women are on their boards, so that women can see, that the society can see if the women are reflective on the boards as well. We have to take it to a next level, because we know that women are as well educated as men. I don't even want to talk. Even more. I don't even want to start to compare, because women are equal, and they should be given the equal opportunity. That is the bottom line in leadership and boards, in governance and so forth. And so we have to start setting the policies to make sure that these things take place. Because if we don't put this in policy, I'm telling you, these things will not happen. And so we have to make sure that these things happen. And the good thing, again, I'll tell the people, there's nothing to fear, especially the men. They too will benefit. The family will benefit. The society will benefit when everybody gets an equal opportunity and an equal chance to really excel. And so we'll put those policies in place.
A very good response, Dr. Chu. Very, very interesting comments there. In particular, the comment you made about domestic violence, gender-based violence.
Right.
Yes.
And I think it's important for us to even boast about the fact that one of our very own comrades, the daughter of His Excellency Right Honorable Llewellyn Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw,
Yes.
transformed their traditional family home in Market Street to a safe space for women who needed to escape that very same situation that you were speaking about.
Yes.
So SKNLP is really supporting the, as you rightly said, that NGO civil society response to GBV, and it links now to your this question about crime prevention and control, especially as it relates to women. So propaganda messaging from opposing parties suggests that the SKNLP is against crime prevention, and which is clearly not so because of what you just said, and also intends to end crime prevention programs like the Peace Initiative. Could you clarify misconceptions and tell us what SKNLP plans to do to improve the security across the Federation, especially as it relates to women?
Right. So I think that is what you call it is exactly what it is, propaganda. And people saying things for some political gain, which is not founded in any type of fact. The fact is the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party supports any program that would help our people and help to deal with the crime situation. I've spoken about the Peace Initiative, and what we are saying is that the Peace Initiative has not gone far enough. It's an initiative where we know now that money is given to persons on the program in a way to prevent them from going out and committing crime. That is what is said. However, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party thinks that we should go further, and we're going to put policies in place to go further. The young men predominantly who are on this program should be given the opportunity to advance their lives. What if some of them want to become small businessmen? What if some of them want to get involved? What if some of them want to get involved in in entrepreneurship, as I've said before? Or they want to get involved in entertainment? Or they want to learn a skill? Hey, morning. Welcome, Dr. Douglas. I'm talking about the Peace Initiative. Yes, they can join. Yes. So what if they want to get further their education? What if they want to go overseas like other young people? What if they want to become a part of the new marijuana industry that we will put forward? And so we are saying that we want to give them more opportunities. Can you imagine the young men who are on this program, that these young men who work, that there is no social security being paid for them? To me, that is an abuse. And not only that, that probably is breaking the law. If they are working and you are in a position as the government to pay their social security, then you should. I think that they should be given that opportunity, because it's not for the lack of resources why the government is doing that. It is because the government is seeking to hide the program, to keep it clouded so that people don't know the full extent. We know that a lot of the money being used is not actually being used as the young men. So the money comes from the treasury, goes to development bank, and then after that it goes down a dark hole. Nobody knows exactly where all of the money is going. And I can say today that most of the money is not going to the young men who are on the program. We will change that, and we will give the young men more opportunities. So we'll deal with the immediate situation, which is they get monies and they need to have money in their pocket to live. Everybody needs some money in their pocket, but we'll also give them opportunities to explore other avenues so that they can live out their life dream and further advance themselves. And that is what. So the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will take it further. That's one. But apart from bettering the program and giving more opportunities, we are looking at the long-term ways in which we can prevent crime. Giving opportunities will be one of the ways. The other way that I'm talking about when I talk about paternity leave and maternity leave, these type of policies will strengthen bonds between children and parents, and that will help to foster good behavior throughout the whole life. So that in itself is a long-term goal, but you cannot have short-term goal without intermediate and long-term objectives. And so the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will look at the immediate, the intermediate, and the long-term in dealing with the whole issue of crime and security here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But I want to reassure the young men on this program that we will do better for them and give them real opportunities for them to really flourish like everyone else in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you very much for that clarification, and I love the fact that you hinted to transparency, which is an integral part in good governance, and that's something that is very much lacking with regards to the peace program. So I look forward to that.
Yes.
And we just welcome Dr. Denzel Douglas, who is here with us now. And you missed out on the fun segment of the show, the rapid fire question.
Make up three for him. Make up three for him.
We have one here for him.
Oh, we have one for you, yes. If you can name 3 former or present female prime ministers in the Caribbean.
Former?
Sounds too easy, you know.
It sounds easy, right?
Former and present.
Former and present.
Right. Jackie Charles, of course. Kamala Passad in Trinidad. And the current is Madam Mae Motley.
All right.
I think you would go a little further, one who was from our sister party.
As
a farmer who was from our sister party.
You mean Portia?
Okay.
It's showing off now.
It's too easy.
All right, so that was a little segue back to our rapid fire questions. So we'll continue with our interview portion, and we go straight to Dr. Douglas.
Yeah, okay.
All right, we'll go straight to Dr. Douglas. Your first question is about the post-COVID-19 economic recovery. Based on your legacy and experience with the effective economic policy as a former finance minister in government, what finance and economic policies do you champion to enable strong post-pandemic recovery, and what can vulnerable women and families look forward to in terms of financial stability and wealth generation under the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party administration?
Right. Thank you, Madam Connor Falance. And may I also recognize Senator Clark here, and of course, our party leader, Dr. Joe. I want to thank you for allowing me to get into the program at this stage.
Pleasure to have you.
I want to say good morning to all of our listeners. And may I commend as well WINN FM organizers and all who have been engaged in making this program possible today. I think you deserve a wow.
Wow. And Labour women.
And Labour women.
Definitely Labour women, yes.
So I want to thank you for that. Now, just as I walked in, Dr. Yu was making comment on the peace initiative and the PAP. Just last night, I was emphasizing in our meeting in Connery that if it is one thing we will take away from that session last night was the buzzwords, or were the buzzwords, harness the peace and improve the PAP. And I think Dr. Yu went into that because that's really what is the policy position. We will harness the peace initiative as much as we can. Transparency, very, very important. We do not intend in any way to deprive young men, young women of their livelihoods, if that is what it is at this time. But it must go beyond that. And at the same time, we're speaking about the PAP, poverty alleviation program, whatever, policy, whatever it is called. We want to make sure that people understand that if that is what is sustaining and bringing addition to their livelihoods and their sustenance of their livelihoods, that's what we are all about in labor. We will improve and continue. We continue to say that those who are not on it should and would be brought on it, because it is not only those who are political affiliates we believe that should be on it. So people have no fear with regard to that. And I start with that because in getting into the post-COVID-19 recovery or the development of the economy, that will impact in particular on young women, young people, girls, we want to emphasize that we intend to invest in the human capital of our country. Our women folk, in fact, they comprise a significant portion of the total population. Mm-hmm. In fact, many of them we know are head of households. They have worked hard. They continue to sustain their families most of the time, or many times I should say, without the support of their husbands or their partners. And so we must make sure that women are consolidated in their efforts in moving forward in providing support for their families. We intend, of course, to ensure that there is a revisit of what is called the minimum wage. At the moment, they are being paid $3.60. And I said they, I mean women, of course, and men. But a lot of them are women. They are the employees at the manufacturing sectors. Last night, or yesterday I should say, in passing through Sandy Point, on our way from the nomination exercises Tuesday, sorry.
Yes, Tuesday.
We were very pleased to stop by the factory on the main street here in Sandy Point. I'm sure scores of women came out in their numbers and embraced that policy in particular. They know that the Labour Party in government will deliver what we say we would want for them. And it is only realistic. I mean, they're getting $360 now. There was a 10% increase. That didn't go to them. That went to the public servants. They were left alone, dashed aside. We can't do that. And so we will ensure that there is a serious application of our policy of increasing the minimum wage from $360 to $500. It is an additional $140 for them per week. That is a significant improvement in terms of their livelihoods. And so we want to emphasize again, it is because we believe that the bulk of the people who work in these factories and who are doing this kind of job that gives them 360, we believe that they will be positively impacted and will be better able to look after themselves and their families. We intend to ensure that this is done in an environment where there is less tax. I mean, COVID-19 devastated our economy to a large extent. Our people's welfare has been affected. And the cost of living has significantly increased. Taxes, although they are significant to sustain the overall economic machinery, we believe that we can reduce the tax on
Corporate tax.
right, the tax that you would pay on purchasing and imports to a large extent, the VAT. And so we're talking about moving from 17%, which is what it is, to further bring it down to 12%. We understand recently that there was an announcement that it is going to be down to 10%. We believe that is fake news.
Yeah, he was responding to Comrade Leader's comment. He was just trying to one up. And
He knows, he would have done if he could have. I said it before.
It's just
But
reactionary.
I say to all persons who pay the VAT, this Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Finance, is what you call a sitting duck. There is nothing that he can do and at this time that can have any serious effect before the change of government. So that is nonsense. So we want to make it very, very clear that we will be going after making significant changes in the way people live and the reduction of taxes, not only in terms of the VAT, but also in terms of the corporate tax would be revisited by the Labour administration. A lot of women are entrepreneurs. I happened to be in Boyd's last evening, before I came to our Connery meeting. And a lot of them are saying, we are small business people. We have to pay the unincorporated tax. We have to make sure that our businesses are properly registered. They are being charged arrears. Even going back to the COVID 2 years ago, those were waived because it is unfair for small business women in particular, braiding hair, doing nails, carrying out massages, and so forth, cooking, weaving, etc. Fashion. Those who are driving the fashion industry here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Creatives.
And the creatives generally. It is really bad to be saying to them that you have arrears from since 2020. And unless you pay up your arrears for your tax, registration tax, you can't really go forward. You can't get assistance. We waive those taxes because they are related to COVID-19. The taxi operators who are women in particular, we do have some women who were paid only for 3 months. They were given support only for 3 months out of 20 months. What happened to the other 17 months that they were not really seriously supported? All this, we are saying, must be tackled as we settle down to deal with the post-COVID situation.
There is a question here, but just before I ask you your next question, I'd ask Comrade Leader, Dr. Joe, to also weigh in on this full support for women, because you've made mention of gratuitous payments.
Right. So it's very important. One of the things that I've spoken about as we always discuss the economy is women suffer a lot during the COVID, as Comrade Dr. Douglas would have mentioned with respect to the tax. But a lot of women also lost their jobs, maybe because they did not get vaccinated, and many are not getting employed, possibly because they're not getting vaccinated as well. And I'm saying that that type of policy, of course, is not a progressive policy, it's an unfair policy. And so we will give persons, and majority that we have seen were women who were denied work or who lost their jobs because of that, a gratuitous payment. It's very important because we have to set the record straight and not allow people ever to again suffer and allow families to suffer because of a personal decision. We have stated our position on the vaccine. I am not anti-vax at all, but I believe that the road to be taken is to educate people and give people that education so they can make an informed choice. And they should definitely not be denied the opportunity to earn a living because of a personal decision. Right. So that, of course, will be one of the things. The other things I have spoken about is how to get more women into small enterprise. There was an excellent program that we had before that was called WISE, Women in Small Enterprise, where women were given grants or very low interest loans so that they could have started their own businesses. And as Dr. Douglas was saying, they're into the massage, their nails, their hair. They have found very innovative ways to ensure that they can feed themselves and their families. And they must be supported by policies. And so those type of common sense policies which will benefit them, their families, the community, the country on a whole, these policies are what we will put forward. So I will say, again, that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will do a plethora of things economically, socially, and otherwise to make sure that women get their fair opportunity in St. Kitts and Nevis. So those are some of the extended policies that we are also looking at within the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and what we'll put forward as we form the next government.
I like that. And the thing is that the COVID protocols have been relaxed, yet you still have this restriction in regards to seeking employment that you have to be vaccinated in order to be employed.
Yeah.
Yes. So just a note from WINN FM. Yes. I told you this is one of the best shows ever. They just sent a message and they said they have. We're supposed to end now, but if you have time in your schedule, they'll allow us to go on because it's a very good discussion, and they like it. So you give us a heads up if you could give them 10 more minutes even.
Yes,
sure. Right. Okay. Good.
Wonderful.
So the question here, and I'm going to be a little bit a devil's advocate because that's what people clearly want to hear. And the question starts for Dr. Douglas. Since your transition from party leader, I want to stop there because, again, mass propaganda is since your transition from party leader, we have problems. They're crazy.
Have problems?
I don't know about.
They have problems.
And the creators and crafters of this program, they were intentional in having former party leader and current party leader here, not just to demonstrate that we all sit in the same room and we speak about ideas about the SKNLP plans together, which we have both both contributed to. So we've transitioned successfully. So I'd like your very short comments on that, and then I'll ask the real question. Either one of you. Let's start with the former and then the current.
Right. Sure, of course, we have planned our transition. We went through a period of serious soul searching after the 2020 elections. We didn't like the results. We knew that there were serious violations of legal and normal practices. But we nevertheless said we have to move on. And so we began seriously to consult with our people as to how we would look in the future whenever the elections come around again. And we transitioned. Several committees put together credible ideas that could be pursued. We pursued them, and here we are. Went through a period of transition of the leadership. Dr. Joe has emerged as the leader among those who contested. I didn't contest. I refused to contest. And so here we are with a new leader. They used to say Douglas is going to die with his boots on. Absolute nonsense. Douglas is here to ensure that the transition is completed from opposition to government. New Prime Minister, new leader, new team, the A team, led by Dr. Joe.
Thank you. Comrade leader?
Right. So I would like to say that I joined the team in 2013. It's almost 10 years now, a decade. And what I've told people about the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and what differentiates our party from the other parties is that our party take the issue of governance, even internally, transition and so forth, very seriously. Our party is not in the game of handpicking anybody. The comrades truly have the say as to what take place within the party. And that is why I know we have survived 90 years and we are still the dominant party in the Federation, and we are the oldest party in the English-speaking Caribbean. Comrade Dr. Douglas, who was the leader for 33 years and the Prime Minister for 20 years, has been very gracious in the whole transition process. As he has said, he made sure that all the committees were put in place. So people must understand that this transition process was not an overnight thing. It took us a while of going through the moments that were challenging that we had to overcome. And that is why I'm very proud of how we handled it as a party, because irrespective of everything, because of his example and what he ensured, and I'm speaking of our comrade Dr. Douglas, these things ensure that the party remained strong and remained together. And so I want to thank him for his leadership in all of this. And so what emerged at the end of the day was wholesome, and nothing at all threatened the fabric of the party. We see other parties falling apart, coalition falling apart, but the St. Kitts and Nevis, we have become, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, we have become even stronger as a result.
Better.
And that is why I'm better.
Better with Labour.
Better with Labour. And that's why we will win the next elections, because I think,
hands down.
Yeah, hands down. Because people appreciate that. People do appreciate that. And the tremendous experience of Dr. Douglas, of course, would help in all of this. So our party is a united party. We are together. And they are trying to, sow seed of division, but they're not working. There is nobody in the party who wanted the power to just be handed, or not power, but leadership to be handed over to them, except the one who is going to lose the prime ministership. He does not believe in a democratic process. He did not believe in the strong constitution that the party has and that it should always be respected. He wanted to violate all of those rules, and that is why he's out. And when he's out, our party went through some difficulties, but now our party is back to number one and is the strongest party in the Federation. And as a result, things will be better with Labour, not only for our party, but for all of our people. I am more proud of this party for what it has demonstrated here in St. Kitts and Nevis, that within political parties that are run efficiently and properly and on principles, we can survive anything, and we have.
Very good comment. So I'll finish the question. This is your transition from party leader, and it's for both of you really. You had a youth symposium held in Constituency 6, and you've had your presentation with the Youth in Focus session at Royal St. Kitts. And we want to know what were the most interesting things and some of the most significant ideas that came out of these youth sessions in terms of leading our country forward, a youth-led government. So we'll start here and continue with Comrade Leader.
Right. So the young people in my constituency, that is from Newton Ground, St. Paul's, the Parsons, Poxon, Lynches, Lavington, Sadlers, Harrises, all those somewhat distinct but interrelated communities. Young people came together and they wanted to meet face-to-face with me on Sunday down at the Galaxy Hotel. I think the invitation went out to 60 people. Among that group were a large number of women. A large number of women was among that group. And 56, I think, persons turned up. 4 had other conflicting activities and could not make it. But 56 out of 60, I think, was very impressive.
Very, yeah.
They went into groups, and among themselves they discussed what it is that they would want to see emerge in a new administration after analyzing what they have been through for the last 7 years, and of course, the years of my service before. So they did an analysis of my performance, if you want to call it that, and then they went into what it is they would want. And so they made presentations at the end, with me being present to listen directly to them. I want to thank them for their bravery. And you know, we are fearless people in number 6. And they demonstrated that no matter who he was or who he is, no matter what he was or what he is, we have a voice and we're going to speak. And they spoke out very, very clearly. They identified a number of issues. One, they believe that 20 years that I was in the Prime Minister, I might have concentrated too much on the whole country and not on number 6. Because they're saying, I know you moved the country forward, we are number 1, but we wanted to have certain more things here in number 6. I understood, and they identified what. They said it is well and good that, yes, you have to some extent removed ignorance from that part. You've concentrated on education. And they all were very, very happy that the Sadler Secondary School was placed. It had developed under one of their own people from the constituency managing it. We had, of course, Diana Richards, and then succeeded for a short time by Mrs. Flanders. Miss Byron, not necessarily directly from the area, but she's there. But the foundation has been laid. And we want to celebrate today, specifically, the success of Adina Richards as a foremost and forerunner educator, making an impressive start to that school. And it is now challenging any of the established secondary schools here in our country.
Female principal.
Female principal. Women power. Women in focus. Adina was focused in her leadership. And that is where we are. And so they are grateful because many of them, if not all, who were there had come through either Sandy Point or Sadler's High, Sadler's Secondary. So education, there's no question. And so what are they saying? We need to go beyond the academic education that we've had. The reality is that post-COVID, a lot of, as we said earlier, creatives came about. Women began to do things at home, being locked out. And they are now saying, we hear you talk about providing skills training in these areas. We want to go off to Trinidad and Canada to be part of that trained, skilled pool that you are developing for our country. So they were demanding what we keep saying, that we will provide training in skills, training in those activities that women have now found themselves engaged in, which they can do at home at their leisure. Many of them were saying that they need support to add on to their homes, a little parlor, a little room in the yard where they can do their work as they have sorted out to do, having sorted out themselves as to what they really want to do for themselves. So that was important. The second thing came up, of course, was the PAP and peace and so forth, because a lot of our young people are engaged in this. Some of them have never been criminals, but because of the government's lack of opportunities in terms of employment and skills and so forth, they are just lumped under the PAP or the peace. The people are saying, we don't want to be under peace and PAP forever. We want to be able to work, to earn our own living.
Business.
And they have recognized, they said it there. He is not providing, he could all mean one person, Prime Minister. He's not providing any job opportunities because he wants to keep us on the PAP and the peace so that he can manipulate us. They are asking for opportunities to free themselves.
Freedom.
So that they cannot be dictated to and they cannot be dominated by a government that, because it requires their vote to stay in office, is just lumping young people onto the peace and onto the PAP. I am told by the people who were there from the Bay, in 1 week, 60 of the young people in the Bay were placed on the PAP. On the peace and the PAP. So people are no longer being selected based on the initial policy programs enunciated when these were created. They are now being lumped. In fact, forms are being given out by persons as the canvas, asking them to sign up, and within a matter of 7 days, their bank accounts reflecting $400 or $500. This is ridiculous. And they're saying, we want to free ourselves of this domination. Provide us with work opportunities, and we will move on. Then, finally, I should say, they have embraced what was the vision of the Labour Party in transitioning from sugar agriculture to a services economy. We know that that part of the country was hardest hit.
Right.
We discussed that. We know that when the assessment was done on the closure of the industry, most of the people affected were women folk. They were 50 years and plus. They were head of households mostly. They only had a primary level education. They understood, therefore, the government policy of mixing tourism development with agriculture, especially in that part of the country. So that is why they embraced the ideas of capacity farm and empowering farmers in that area so that they were able to supply their produce to the hotels which were being developed in that same very area. That is why Kitty Chanel has 3 hotels. That is why Ramada is there today, well planned. That is why you have Arthur's Restaurant on the beach in the Bay. Because we recognize that we wanted to enhance what our people lived from in the past, using what we have here and selling it to the offshore islands, Statia, Sable, St. Bart's, St. Martin, so that there would be established again a thriving trade. And it was going to be done from a marina built right there in the Bay.
Right.
It was exciting.
Dr. Joe?
Very comprehensive, and I'm happy that those young people were able to express themselves based on what Dr. Douglas expressed. I can see that the meeting was very spirited. I can see that they brought real solutions to challenges in their own ideas, and they're looking for this St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party to step up to respond. Many of the things that were mentioned are actually policy positions of our party. For example, the skills training, and I want to add Europe as well, that we will send our young people to Trinidad, as was mentioned, Canada, and to Europe to get a lot of these skills training. We have other areas where we can explore. We can explore Cuba for skills training, because Cuba has excellent skill training programs, and even I know as far as the East, but we'll also explore Europe to make sure that our people can get these opportunities as well. When it comes to what I call the non-traditional type of employment opportunities, for example, persons who want to start innovative things. I met a young man in St. Peter's who were designing shoes, and I met another young man who had a business, and I think he has a background business where he is mobile. And he said he just wanted a mobile truck so he can just show up at your place. These are non-traditional ways that, as was mentioned before, that our young people would have come up with to deal with the economic pressures of COVID-19 and to find ways of surviving. We have to support our young people in these initiatives. Young people are looking for opportunities to build their lives, to build wealth, to build intergenerational wealth, to have something to pass on to the next generation. They are thinking big. And that's why we are saying that the peace program as it's structured is not enough. We have to go beyond that. The PAP program as it's structured, we have to improve upon it so that our people and our young people can have the real opportunities to advance themselves and advance their lives. Even in my own constituency, the young men are actually discussing how they would plan the marijuana industry so that they can benefit from it. And I want our people not to be afraid, because a number of our young people have been sent to Canada to work on marijuana plantations. I hope that we are aware of that. An actual bona fide, legitimate work program between St. Kitts and Nevis and Canada that come through the Labor Department. Our young people have been sent to Canada, our workers have been sent to Canada to work on marijuana plantations. And therefore, they see that this industry can be an industry that can be of benefit to their economy, and therefore we must not be left out. We have master goals here, and our young people should be given opportunity to also be included in that. But let's look at this last part. A lot of our young people have records for possessing marijuana. And I'm saying that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's position is to expunge those records. Many of them would have been caught 18, 19 with some marijuana, have a record, can't go to university, can't travel, can't apply for a visa, can't apply for a loan, can't get a job in the civil service because when they were young, at some point, would have possessed some marijuana. And we will expunge their records and give them a real opportunity again to build their lives. So the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is comprehensive in its approach to dealing with the issues of young people. We want our young people to flourish here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
And this is exciting forward movement news that you're giving out in terms of the expunging of the records. I know a lot of persons are looking forward to that, and it will be very beneficial to a lot of young people. And it kind of leads into the next question that we have here for you in terms of job creation for our youth.
Yes.
As the newly elected innovative leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, what is your vision for the job market in terms of diversification?
Right, and I think Comrade Dr. Douglas would have touched on it significantly.
Yes.
And his positions are informed by the discussion he had with young people. So that in itself is exciting. He's talking about already young people looking, just give me an opportunity to build a salon onto my home or to our home so that I can carry out my business there. And so I also spoke about wise women in small enterprise. This is actually going to help a lot of women to establish their micro businesses and businesses that would have the opportunity to grow. But we will also do, as part of our initiatives going forward, establish a small business ministry. That ministry is intended to be a one-stop shop. We people can go even with their incubator ideas and get opportunities to have their business plan be written up, submitted for grants, submitted for low interest loan, technical advice, and really help them to establish themselves. And at any point during their business life can seek whatever assistance they might need. So small businesses will be given that impetus, and young people we know are willing and able and have those innovative and new ideas to start those businesses. But also, we must not just cater for our population here, because our consumer base is 50, 60,000. We now must go into how can we market to other places. As he spoke about the agriculture, for example, into Sabas and Martin and so forth, that can be done along with, of course, offering other services to other countries. We have people here, for example, work on our campaign who are in the technical field, social media and so forth. Excellent. You see what we produce at the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Why can't they offer their services to the other countries that are around? And so we want to have them do that so that they can expand their consumer base and have opportunities in new market spaces. The other thing that we're going to do is that we want to start infrastructural development. We are looking at 2,000 homes to be built. We are looking at the hospital. We are looking at the schools and other, even the airport will be looked at. So that when we start these massive infrastructural programs, and we want to start them simultaneously, so to speak, to put thousands of people back to work at the same time. If we start, and when we plan to start these, we can put more than 6,000 people back to work at the same time. That would stimulate the economy. And that is why we keep saying we want our masons, our carpenters, our plumbers, our electricians, and heavy equipment operators, cabinet makers, tile layers, painters. We want all of our people back to work. And in addition to that, innovatively, and as it would have been spoken of, Dr. Douglas would have spoken about it, we want to create the homes so that you can build upstairs in the future, so that you create the normal house and then you can go upstairs. So we're going to give people that option. That's going to be a new innovation. And in addition to that, as we transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy, and principally solar energy in the first instance, we are going to make sure that we have a new industry. We're at the college, the CFBC College, which will be free. We will introduce a new course where that course will deal with the renewable energy from a technical standpoint as well, so that they know how to assemble solar panels, fix them, recycle them, to install them and so forth. So that will create a new course in the CFBC because the thrust is to make sure that we transition to renewable energy. In the first instance, solar energy will be the heavy hitter in that sense. And so therefore that will create a lot of new innovative jobs in the sustainable energy sector of our economy. And so we are transitioning to a sustainable island state where we will use renewable energy as its base, small businesses, innovation, technological advancement, and so forth to sustain it. I think Comrade Conway said something last night when we presented the manifesto. He said we are not just talking this, we are doing it in our party, where we presented a digital manifesto. And that will be the thrust, an app, and that will be the thrust of our government. We want new ideas, fresh things. We want to be innovative and embracing the creative. And we are asking all to join the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party in its thrust to make sure that we go on into the 21st century and get back to number one.
In reference to the creatives, what are some of the ideas that you have in regards to the entertainment industry?
Right. So the entertainment industry has become very popular. I will say this. Scientifically, the best scientists are thinking now that in a number of years, mankind would have figured out all of energy and material needs. They are thinking we are going to crack the necessary scientific codes where we'll have abundant energy and the material needs. And they said what will be left is the creatives. They actually predicted that would be left. Sports, entertainment, and so forth will become the center of the new economies of the future. And they are thinking that this can happen within the next 100 years or so based on scientific development. So the creatives are not just, as some people call it, oh, you're just there singing, or you're just there. I even went as far as saying even the gospel singers are entertainers. Many of them are millionaires from singing gospel music. And so we have spoken about, right, creating professional studios, but we went as far, and Comrade Conway who spoke, and it went as far as providing opportunities for our entertainers so that they can have opportunities regionally and internationally as performers in different spheres. And we will make sure that they get that done. In speaking to him as well, we spoke about getting our people to high-level music schools to run courses, for example, so that our entertainment aspect in terms of music can be elevated as well. And so we will create that space for our entertainers to have their music produced, to have them opportunities to move overseas and perform at levels. And here in St. Kitts and Nevis, they will be given that necessary support. That is why in the entertainment, especially part with music, we and the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party brought the local entertainers on our stage, gave them the opportunity to make our jingles even before we thought about overseas people, because we have the talent here. But when it comes to entertainment, it's linked so closely with sports. And that again, Comrade Kenny would have spoken to, that we are going to support our athletes. For example, Mr. Rogers, who benefited from a program in Canada that was slashed from the government, and he suffered tremendously, and he spoke out against it. We have to make sure that those things are introduced. And I will wrap up by saying our Performing Arts Center must be built. We will take entertainment seriously because it's linked to a lot of things, even the tourism industry. It is linked to as well. And so these initiatives, as we go through the campaign, we'll speak more about, and our spokesperson and the various aspects, they have spoken about them. So I want persons who are in entertainment and the creatives to know that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will be looking at this very seriously, and it will be a fundamental part of us going forward from an economic standpoint and social development standpoint as well.
Thank you both for those very powerful and meaningful responses. In particular, I'll emphasize three things. One, when we speak about entertainment and local artists, the Labour Party sticks to its talk. We are having a huge youth-led rally tomorrow with all of our local entertainers, and those who can't make it because they're traveling are, annoyed, and they said they want to perform on a stage which represents creatives and entertainers and young people, and that's what Comrade Samuel has been pushing too. And secondly, you both mentioned that you listen to the young people, and you have both allowed young people to lead this campaign.
Right.
Yes.
Every room we step into, there are women, there are young people doing everything for this campaign. Of course, shepherded by the seniors who have been here for a while, and that's because the party speaks to transition throughout, embracing young people and women and being inclusive. So
perfect combination of youth and experience.
Yes.
And right here, youth and experience too.
That is how it should be.
Really good. You have the final question?
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we basically touched everything. We spoke about the movements that are happening in constituency number 6. Dr. Douglas encompassed the entire aspect of it. And we are pretty much just out of time as well.
Permit me to just add something to what I
wrap
said,
up.
in the sense that you had preambled your question, the fact that there was the youth symposium or focus on Sunday. But let me say that apart from that formal group, which was really a group of young labor people coming together, I had met before going there at 4 o'clock. I met at lunchtime with a group of young men in their bay to discuss the same very issues that we were discussing with young labor down at the Ramada. We met at, for those of you who don't know, there's a Shack Bar and Grill in Gibbons. Go and find it. It's excellent meat, food, excellent fish.
Where's that located?
I was just about to ask. I was waiting for him to continue.
Yeah.
Where is Gibbons?
Gibbons, as you're entering the bay, going towards Sadler's, so you're going east. The very first turn off you have at the corner Cooper's restaurant.
Right.
But if you drive around from there, as soon as you take the bend, there's a little...
Yes, I know where it is.
Right.
I know where it is, yes.
That's where you can find people like Dr. Nordgen on a weekend. So we went there, and Shaq had a group of young men there waiting for me who said a lot of the things that Dr. Drew initiated here today for discussion. Firstly, that the area can provide work experience, lifelong skills for the people of the area. And what they pointed out to me was the marijuana industry. There was someone who knew exactly how the agricultural program with St. Kitts and Nevis and Canada operates.
Good.
And that there are constant calls now for our agricultural workers from St. Kitts going to Canada to go and work in the marijuana industry.
Yes.
Mind you, the warning, if you are a smoker, don't go. Because the people don't want you to smoke now. But if you are serious about acquiring the necessary skills, which we will eventually need here, when our industry gets fully established under labor, we are encouraging young men to apply to go to Canada, work in the wheat fields, get the experience, and when you return and it is established here, you can continue with that experience.
Yes.
And this application is done through the Labor Department?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So Dr. J is right. This is now providing an outlet for our people to go to Canada. They used to go and pick apples. Now they attend to the marijuana fields. But they warn you, don't smoke, because the people will send you back home if you're smoking their marijuana. The second thing is that with the 3 hotels identified for that area, a marina, and with the Ramada that is already there are opportunities for homemade restaurants to emerge. People can invite people to their homes to eat.
Community tourism.
Community tourism, just as Shaq Rouse is doing in Gibbons in their Bay. Put a little addition to his home. And the young men come there and enjoy on a weekend his fish.
His fish.
And his food. Simple as that. So we are saying that there are opportunities also to develop what I would call hiking and motorcycle, the 3 wheels, tours. There in that part of the country we have quite a bit of heritage sites. The ruins from the sugar industry. The established churches. These can develop into tourism products as part of the tours that our young people can get involved in as part of their own economic and entrepreneurial activities in order to sustain their livelihoods. So these are ideas that come in from Shaq's bar Sunday before I went down to speak to the 60 young people at the Ramada Hotel. The ideas are there, let us develop them.
That's right.
Well, I'll allow you for any opportunity to give, any final comments.
Right. So finally, and it's the same thing, I met with a group of young men up in Upper Cayon, and I meet with the young people all the time. But recently, and I met with some in Connery as well, St. Peter's, Keys. And what I love is that they want opportunities. They're just saying, give us opportunities, we want to work. When you sit with young people and they're telling you we want to work, we want business opportunities, employment, and so forth, that is very, very pleasing to me. So we need to create those policies that would give them the opportunities. For example, when I was in Upper Cayon, a young man came there, and you will never suspect. He said, Dr. Joe, I'm a certified mechanic from CFBC. I did my English exam and I passed. He said, I just want to establish my mechanic shop. I mean, and then he had another one there who was also certified. So imagine these two young men went to college, come out of college with the necessary certification already, and are saying to us, just give us an opportunity to establish our mechanic shop. We're not looking for any handouts here and there. We want tools. We want to start a small business. And that is why we are saying that the young people will be better with labor. These are our policy position. So I finally want to say to you, thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to present our policies, especially on women issues, which are very progressive and would help to advance these issues here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but to also link it to the youth of our nation. And I want to ask them to vote for the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party in each of our constituencies, to vote for our candidate. In constituency number 1, to vote for Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. In number 2, to vote for Comrade Masha Henderson. In number 3, to vote for Honorable Comrade Conrad Maynard. In number 4, to vote for Comrade Samuel Duggins. In number 5, to vote for His Excellency Comrade Kenneth Douglas. And in number 6, of course, to vote for Comrade Dr. Denzel Douglas. In number 7, to vote for Comrade Leon Natta Nelson. And in number 8, to vote for yours truly, Dr. Terence Drew. I'm asking you to vote, put your X next to the hand. Things will definitely be better with Labour.
In the box.
And a better
In the
way.
box.
In the box. That's correct.
In the box.
Yes.
In the box.
Dr. Douglas, any last words for you?
Well, I just want to really commend Labour women for this initiative. I think more of these activities would make the Labour Party truly an institution. And I beg that after all of the hustling and bustling for this campaign, Labour Women becomes an organization that is highly recognized and recommended to take women and generally our human development forward. Labour Women must not only, though it's a name, Labour Women, as an organization, it must be out there reaching beyond the political barriers and be seen as a force for good, for the movement of women, so that they can realize their life's ambitions, whether you are a supporter of the party or not. So I hope to see this organization move to higher heights
It will.
after
I
this
love the sound of
election
that.
campaign.
It will.
A new day and a better way with Labour. All right,
Thank you very much.
before we go, let's just give a rundown of the activities for the
Yes.
remainder of the week.
Yes.
Later this evening, we're going to be having the Red Wave Manifesto deep dive.
The only party who is going to have that type of session where
Yeah.
constituents can ask pointed questions to our leaders. Imagine that. Sorry, I didn't say
That's what, that's, what, that's what you mean by deep dive.
And this would be at the Kuna Conference area from
Yes.
5 o'clock. It would go through until about 7 or so.
Yeah.
And then right after, we have the campaign rally in Constituency 7 in Tabernacle. And that will be at 8 o'clock. And
Taba, here we come. Taba, here we come.
We'll be there.
And tomorrow we go into our National Youth Campaign Rally, which will be at Challengers Basketball Court at
Yes.
7:30.
Yes.
And on Saturday, we have the block canvassing and branch lime in each constituency starting at 2 p.m. And on Sunday, we have another campaign rally, this time in constituency number 6 at Sadler's, Dr. Douglas's constituency. And that will start at 7:30 p.m.
Sadler's? or
Deep
Deep
Bay.
I think
in Deep Bay. So it's Sunday in Deep Bay at 7:30. All right, so thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you to our guests, Dr. Denzel Douglas and Dr. Terence Drew, for coming out and sharing with us on how labor will be better for our country. A new day and a better way with labor. And thank you to my co-host, Dr. Joyelle Clark. It was great having you with us.
I had fun. Thank you.
All right, thanks again for tuning in to Women in Focus. Tune in again with us next week, Thursday, same time, same place.
The women's arm of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party brings you Women in Focus, a special weekly program by women for men and women, with your host, Adelcia Furlands, and our special guest co-host, bringing you the candidates of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party as we discuss the issues related to women and families that affect us here in St. Kitts Nevis and the Caribbean region as a whole.